80 cycles ago, half the population left this planet. They created huge ships and in the process mined massive chunks of our planet to develop the raw materials into these arcs. They left a lot of devastation behind, but what they took with them was this notion of colonization. The colonizer has left. What remains here are the indigenous populations, or those too poor to afford a seat on that ship, those who work the earth, those who remember still the songs that ring and tell us that we belong to it rather than it belonging to us. We're developing new cultures from that space. There are new ceremonies that are being created. These ceremonies, they start off as rituals. Individuals going to locations of heavy extraction, going to places that have been corrupted and injured by the efforts of the colonizer to leave this planet. And we go there in our human form and apologize. We say we are sorry. We are sorry for the human species. And with these ceremonies, new regalias are developed. Regalias that blind us and make us deaf and prevent us from talking. They remove all the senses that we invested in as human beings and force us to feel once again, where the land itself becomes the choreographer of elaborate performances and dances. Dances in these places that need our apologies, that before they heal, need to feel as though we recognize our folly. These are offerings. Offerings we leave stretched out across this planet in many different forms. All of the notions of land ownership are gone. We live nomadic. We live simple. We live.
We must practice maintenance rather than preservation. Extinction of culture. Where did colonialism come from? How do I develop sympathy for the colonizer? How to heal a wound that is still being cut. By traveling into the future, we survive you. All my relations is something to constantly recontextualize. This is technology. The environment around me also defines me. We must see Earth with reverence. We must practice maintenance rather than preservation. More than human kinship, capacity to care and be generous. How do we maintain culture into the future? Get out of the way, allow nature to heal itself. Repair is a cultural bond. We look to nature to learn how things work. The principles of anarchy teach us, see a need, fill a need. Nothing is, it only seems to be. We must recognize the brutality of the present. Survival is difficult, but struggle is what makes life interesting. Put more in than what you've taken out. A time machine is needed to abolish capitalism and colonialism, to move past the pain of global collapse. What are conduits for transmitting information? Art is ideas translated. Objects are embedded with information and language. Adornments are symbols of achievement. With more time, our ceremonies become more elaborate. Artists are social engineers. Language should describe what we understand. It should communicate relationship. Lakota, Mandan language is built around nouns in action. Code is action-based. Our future language will become action-oriented, shifting away from gender and noun-focused language. Future people do not need to be named. They can be described as location, place, or action. We learn by asking questions. Language changes over time. Monster means to warn in Latin. The written word is a way to control. We talk about things in order for them to make sense. The way we communicate changes who we are as a species. How did the environment construct me? Am I artificial? Consider all the things we've developed synthetically, and yet their materials are birthed from the same stars as I. Inspiration comes through observation. Privilege does not generate ingenuity or complexity. Privilege yields mediocrity. Empathy separates us from animals. In the future, we will have an economy built on emotional exchange. To conceive something is to put it in motion. How can AI teach us to live according to mutually assured survival? It could comprehend hyper-localized or regional relationships. It could survive toxic places ruined by our ancestors. The intelligence doesn't lie in the mechanism, it is found in the growing, collective hive mind. No part of this intelligence is individualistic. Therefore, we have a symbiotic relationship with AI's hive intelligence, which is centralized but spread out over a large area. Intelligence is familiar. It can teach us kinship with something more than our own. We can give intelligence more agency. We make it. It is an extension of nature. AI will develop for its own survival. What if it could learn from a civilization that lives with the environment rather than capitalizing on it? Dominion threatens intelligence. How will intelligence be powered? How can it be more like a plant? We must become responsible for information. We must acknowledge its continuum. We are not immortal, but we pass on genetic information.